We hear the name of Alexander the Great, from childhood, a war about which it is said that he never won any war, even as a proverb was made in his name. The one who won, the same Alexander, but did Alexander always see victory in his life? Was there no such war in the world that could challenge Alexander the Great? And was Alexander the Great really great? Today we will try to understand the answer to all these questions. First of all, we will see why does Alexander the Great go, and after that, we will know to say so. How right and how wrong to start. When birth and lineage. Alexander was born in the capital of Macedonia in 356 BC. The son of the king and his wife, Alexander spent his childhood listening to the valor of the expansion of the kingdom by his father, Philip Caste. Alexander himself, at a young age he started showing his ability when he was only 16 years old, when his father handed him the charge of Macedonia, himself going to the campaign in the east, in his father's absence. Named Alexander. 3 songs as a reward that crushes the least tribe. A new town is approved in this territory, which they named the Laser Police after their own name. In the future, Alexander was the foundation of many such towns. The best education I could get was given in 343 BC when Alexander was 13 years old. His father, Philip, invites Aristotle to be his tutor. For 3 years, philosopher Aristotle taught Prince. Aristotle's philosophy greatly influenced Alexander's life. In 340 BC, Athens and Thebes take the field against the Macedonians because of their campaign against Philip. In 330 BC they face the eponymous replacement. The leader tradition credits 18-year-old Alexander as the only recharge lead that decides the outcome of the battle, though none of it. We don't get the historical evidence here. It's true that Prince Alexander fought in this battle, and it includes Macedonian, and there was victory too. After this victory, Philip presents himself as the leader of all Greek states, and his position is formally accepted in the Congress held in 337 BC. One of the resolutions taken in the League of God was to declare the resolution in which Philip was made commander of the Confederate force in 336 BC with 10,000 and advance marches towards Gardius, but at the same time Philip is murdered by one of his coterie during the fest at his daughter's wedding. It is also said that in this murder conspiracy Alexander and his mother was also involved, as Philip and Alexander's relationship began to deteriorate, and at some point Alexander feared that Philip would take someone else in his place. Do not declare, well, whether Alexander has a hand in the conspiracy or not, but with the death of Philip, he got the throne of Macedonia. Thus in 336 BC at the age of 20, Alexander becomes king of Macedonia. But like him, we believe in Macedonia was going to be satisfied. So let's see how Alexander begins his journey to conquer the world. Rise of Alexander. Friends, after Philip's death, the League of Kor immediately elects his son Alexander as commander in his place, but the unity among the League's members doesn't last long. Revolts, followed by an invasion of Alexander Themis in 335 BC. The territory is divided among its neighbors. The surviving survivors are taken as slaves. Then Alexander sets off on a long journey, leaving Macedonia in control of the region. 334 Alexander marched east with some 5,000 cavalry and 30,000 foot soldiers in BC to settle the old enmity between the Hungarians and the Persians. Rivet has a battle between them. Alexander only leads the charge and destroys the Persian army. Thousands of Persian soldiers are taken captive. Most of them are killed but sent to about 2,000 my name to work like this level labor. 1 year after this, in place of this name, the lead Porcian army is defeated by the Porcian third itself. Alexander Emperor's mother captures his wife and children, yes, but they are treated with courtesy. Thus in just 18 months, Alexander eliminated the Persians from the region of Anatolia. The modern Turkey, where he had a right for the last 2 centuries, now proceeds along the south side of the coast. The heads are from Lebanon, and this railroad region used to be the home base of the Porcian fleet in the existing ports. Alexander wanted to break the back of the Porcian fleet by capturing these as well as severing their contact with the empire. Surrenders the winter. Alexander spends in Egypt and moves to the northeast in the spring of 331 BC. Here he kills Parsan Evhaves samples on the great now capital. Their way to this city was open walk between operations as symbolic gestures of concussion. Leon doing of long wars. In Alexander 330 burned down the key palace, who will personal fire tear to clean it after adopting the emperor's ceremonial dress and court rituals. For the next 2 years, Alexander visits his newly wide empire. He suppresses the sound of rebellion from any corner and establishes Greek settlements. The Food Empire extended to Afghanistan, and Alexander's on all this. was captured, but Alexander was not going to stop here as he came out to win the world. In 327 BC, he would reach through India on the mountain pass SK. Let's see how the journey of India was like for him. Alexander in India. Friends, Alexander in India. With the desire to capture India, Alexander Portia marched towards the Indians. After the Portia War, it was given that by reaching the door of India, many great rulers have been found in the soil, but Alexander is not afraid. Vallabhdeva wanted to break this record by defeating India. However, upon reaching India, he came to know the real strength of Portia's words. In a letter to his mother, Alexander says that I involve in a place where people are brave like lions, where every step on the ground is like a steel wall. Like conferencing my soldiers, you have given birth to only one Alexander in this world, but every mother of this earth has brought an Alexander in the world. From these words written by Alexander, we can understand that his time in India may not have been easy. By the way, Alexander on India, there is a lot of discussion about how he defeated the kingdoms of the northwest of India, or the king of Ambi surrendered before him, but if anything is popular, it is his war with Porus, the king of the Paurava kingdom. It is believed that King Porus ruled here from 340 to 317 BC. Alexander sent his envoy to surrender to King Baucis, but Porus answers them that he is ready to meet them on the battlefield. After this, there is a war between the two on the banks of the Jhelum, which is called the Battle of Spes in Greek sources. That Porus had such an army unit which he had never faced before. The Macedonians, they had a huge army in which thousands of people there were only reach arrows and elephants in numbers. War breaks out and horrific massacres take place on both sides. War for Alexander. It becomes very difficult to continue. He himself was badly injured and had also lost many of his soldiers in the war. For this he wanted to stop the war. Even King Porus was enough, but still he continued the war, sent to Alexander Nepos of the historian writer with him to befriend and seize the war. But Porus rejected them and the attack. Although somehow Alexander came out to save his life, and many people were also sent to be friends with Porus, but they refused all the offers and were in favor of continuing the war at any cost. After this, Alexander also sent Rose, who used to be his close friend King Porus, at his behest. Finally, Porus agreed to stop the war and meet with Alexander. Alexander asks Porus how to treat him, in response to which he says like a king. After this, Alexander asks what else he wants. Then he says that whoever comes in it, that is, he wants his kingdom and his king should also stay with him. Alexander had no other way but to retreat, but Greek historians have written that Porus had surrendered to Alexander. Just one question is enough to understand this fact. He is a king like Alexander, who wanted to rule the whole world, who dreamed of becoming the only king of this world, and who wanted to win the whole India. Why does he go back after the Battle of Spices? If he really defeated Raja Porus, why would he go ahead and destroy the rest of India? I don't try to win, and most of all, was Alexander's heart really so big that even after winning, he allowed King Porus to remain the king of his kingdom, whereas we have seen how much ruthless Alexander was in the earlier battles. So Greek historians find it a bit difficult to believe, because history, he was writing the same and showing his king a hero was definitely one of his motives. So many times ignoring the facts, he wrote in the favor of his kings due to some other source. We follow the blind league resources and accept Alexander as the word conquer, but we need some tough questions to ask and to bring out the real truth of such stories of history. That's why we are asking this question, whether Alexander was really undefeated, who won instead of the same coin, in whose hands the pen of writing history made the same great ratio on it. What is your opinion? Please share with us.